Well, good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Today is January 13th, 2025. We get together most weekday mornings with our distribution partners to talk about strategies, tips, share success stories, and support each of you. So, as we see the screen, we should see the Shelf Corp flyer in the background. Everyone should have a copy of this whereby you edit it with your call to action at the bottom. So, everyone should have a copy of the Fundable Shelf Corp flyer. If you are a reseller with us, what that means is that you go out to the marketplace under your branding. It's called private label, or sometimes it's called white label. The reason we set the reseller program up as such is it allows you to control your own pricing. But we'll get to that in a moment. So if you don't have a copy of this flyer, and you'd like it, just go ahead and get with Madison. You'll see her phone number here under the resources. All right, so we get together most weekdays at 8 o'clock Central. Our agenda today is we're going to go through just a 101, an overview, the basics of being a reseller, make sure that everyone is trained and prepared to be able to go implement. We want to answer your questions. So at any time you have questions, comments, concerns, type those into the Q&A box, the question and answer box. It's like a chat box in Zoom. And then obviously the goal, if you're a reseller, is to go make money. I think some of you are lifelong learners, which is nice, but some of you are not lifelong earners. And so we need to be applying this knowledge and making money. So let's go ahead and get through the details of the agenda. So the most important thing to understand is that we have a legal, ethical, and effective approach at helping small business owners, otherwise known as entrepreneurs, have access to capital. Now let's take a step back and describe that more fully. So, what you and I know is frankly different than what most people understand. Most people don't have the financial literacy that you and hopefully I have. You can't just want money, you can't just need money to start or grow a business. No lender in the world cares how bad the borrower wants or needs money. Lenders and extenders of credit are concerned about the quote unquote fundability, the credibility, the qualifications, if you will, of the borrower. So that's what you and I do. We legally and ethically present a fundable business in 7 days to any client. It used to be different. It used to be we focused on building fundable businesses. So think about if you and I wanted to go build a house. Oh my goodness, how many steps are there to it? We're going to need land, we're going to need permits, we're going to need architectural drawings, we're going to need all the materials, we're going to go find the labor. Lot of moving pieces to building a house from the ground up. That's a pretty good analogy of what it takes to build a fundable business from the ground up. We about killed ourselves trying to help clients build fundable businesses from the ground up. We realized that's a mistake. Instead, give them a pre-built house, give them a pre-built business. Now we can tweak it and paint it the color they want, but the bottom line is in 7 days, you and I can present anyone with a fundable business that's ready to go to funding. Where if we had to go build a fundable business, just like if we had to go build a house, it's going to take longer, it's typically more expensive, and there's a lot of unknowns that can occur. So it's incredible. You and I are literally able to provide individuals with a shelf corp, a fundable shelf corp, as the flyer says. One of the things that's important is this adjective, because there's lots of places that people can buy shelf corps, but most shelf corps are not fundable. They're just a shell, not a shelf, that they don't have what's needed. So, what you and I are doing is essentially building financial literacy because most people don't even know what it takes to have a fundable business. And then, secondly, we're providing that to them. So we've had other trainings where we go through more detail, the flyer or the fundable shelf corp proposition. with that being said, I'll let you maybe go back to those prior trainings if you want to take a deep dive on that. And all of our past trainings are up on YouTube. No password, no cost, of course. Now, is there a cost to get a shelf corp? Well, of course, because there's a cost to put it together. Just like if you sell a pre-built home, does that suddenly mean that it was free? No, of course. There was cost in building it, but someone else incurred that cost. That house is already ready to move into. A fundable shelf corp, does it cost? Of course, because there was cost to build that, but it was already invested, it's ready to go. How much does a shelf corp cost the customer? That is up to you. That's one of the beauties of being a reseller is you pick client pricing. You pick how much you want to charge. Now, are there costs involved? Of course, but you pick how much you want to sell the shelf corp for to your clients. Now, we're going to get to our poll question here. Originally, we were requiring clients to put $1,000 down and then we would finance the rest. And we did that and that went pretty well. And then we made it into mid or late December and we started a promotion. We said, well, let's drop that down. Let's drop the out of pocket to $250 for the client, and then they can finance the rest. Wow, that went crazy. So we stuck with that. So now we've been allowing clients to come in just $250 out of pocket. Now, again, that's not the entire cost of the shelf corp. You control the entire cost, but the rest can be financed. So here's today's poll question. And let me state it here so you should be able to see it on the screen. If we completely eliminated out of pocket cost for a fundable shelf corp, how many could you sell this week? And I'd like you to respond into the Q&A. So what did we see? We used to be at 1,000. We sold quite a few. We dropped it to 250 and it went through the roof. I'm asking you a question right now, and we may make a further change. If you could go out to the marketplace and you could offer the Fundable Shelf Corp with zero out of pocket, that's what eliminated means. If they had no money up front, we financed the entire cost of the Shelf Corp. How many could you sell this week? And I'm curious what your answers would be. So Frank says at least 5 per day. That's the type of numbers we're looking for. Michael says 4. So again, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm not asking you to make something up. And I know you don't know because you've not necessarily gone out to the market. But I just want to know what your thoughts are. If we could try a promotion where we said, hey, get a shelf corp, zero out of pocket, not 1,000 like it was, not 250 like it is, but if we literally moved it to zero, so they didn't have to pay anything out of pocket, how many? So Alexander, we have 426 of you on, so I don't want to have to name everyone off, but I'm curious. So Alexandria, how many do you think you could sell this week? Charles, how many do you think you could sell this week? Claude, you're one of our Shelf Corp stores. How many do you think you could sell this week? I'm looking for your feedback. There's no right or wrong answer. It got us thinking, right? When we went from 1,000 to 250 out of pocket, volume went up exponentially. So the logical question is, if we took that 250 down to zero, what would that do for you? So Eric, how many could you sell this week at zero out of pocket? Because frankly, at some point, the value proposition is very good. It's very good, and we'll always do what we promise to do. So there's no question that they're going to get what we promise. The question now is just tweaking the pricing, not so much the overall price, not so much how much you make, but specifically asking how much more volume you could generate if we eliminated the upfront cost. Greg, how about yourself? You didn't respond, and Greg, you've been active with us. Jamel, Jeff, Kim, I'm looking for everyone to just take a moment and type a number in. What is the number? And if the answer is zero, that's fine. Then obviously You're not a real good fit to be a reseller, but just curious. All right, so here's what we'll do. And I was waiting to see this feedback. We will do this for this week. So between now and Friday, whatever the date Friday is, 13, 14, 15, 16, what, 17th. So between now and the end of this week, we will completely eliminate the out-of-pocket cost for contracts signed between today and the end of the day Friday of this week. So that way you can go out, same value proposition, right? The Shelf Corp is still great. All these free benefits are still free. But what we're going to allow you to do is bring the client in with no out of pocket. Now, if you still want to charge them something for a down payment, you can. You get to keep it. But that's the, I guess, the resolution from this is we're going to move this to $0. Oops, $0 out of pocket for this week only. And then we'll revisit and decide. But if you can't go enroll clients with zero out of pocket for this value proposition, then obviously the reseller role may not be a good fit for you. Okay, but let's go ahead and move on. The rest of the agenda items still are still relevant. Let's create some spacing so we can see what we're talking about here. All right, Jermaine's asking, so with this promotion, does he need to change the contract that you have? You could if you want, but essentially, we've already provided each of you an editable contract for the Shelf Corp. You'll take our information off, you'll put yours on. Hopefully you all have already done that. If you've not received that packet, then you can email us and we'll send you the reseller packet. There's no cost. There's no contract to sign. There's no money you have to pay. We'll send you the reseller packet. You'll be open for business same day, and you can change the pricing however you would like. But from our side, you don't need to send any money in for this promotion. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. So when the topic gets to how do you earn 5,000 a day, the math is pretty simple, right? So the Shelf Corp, you pick what you're going to sell it for. I would say the average price that I see our reseller selling it for is 15,000, 15,000. You could charge more or charge less. That puts 5,000 profit per day. Now, I realize an extra 5,000 a day, it's not get rich quick. It's not like winning the lottery. A lot of you, that's not even enough to move your income needle much. But it's a good side gig, right? If you could help people have fundable businesses, help them accomplish their goals, and you made an extra 5,000 a day, so that would be what, 25,000 a week. I mean, is that not enough to get your interest? Now, of course, there's no cap because this is what we're assuming, depending upon how you price it, this is really what you're making per deal. So I guess we could change this even from day to per deal, and then you control the volume. All right, so with any sales organization, you're going to need leads, right? And there's different types of leads. What you and I would like to find, if we could wish upon a magic star, we would have a bunch of people calling us that's looking for funding and, well, frankly, even looking for a Shelf Corp. But the truth is, you're going to have to educate. A big part of what you and I do is building financial literacy because of the reasons I stated. Most entrepreneurs don't know what it takes to have a fundable business. A lot of them, therefore, don't know that they don't have that, and they don't really know how a Fundable Shelf Corp works. So it's less about selling, it's more about educating, teaching, building financial literacy. We have that comparison sheet that works really well, and we send that out to everyone that becomes a reseller. But the bottom line is we're going to have leads. And I think some of you get confused of what makes a good lead. Just to think that all small business owners or all entrepreneurs are equally good leads is not true. There are some people that are actively looking for funding to start or grow a business. That's what you want. You want those that are looking for funding now. That doesn't mean you couldn't educate others and help others later, but we really need to focus on those that are looking for funding now. If you, and there's many ways to get those leads. You can go out and teach, you can get referrals from banks and accountants and so forth. But if you don't have those, certainly the quickest way is to get with Kyle. We've talked about Kyle before. We have no financial relationship with Kyle. But Kyle has a marketing organization where he goes out and generates leads. And these are small business owners that are looking for funding. So even if we're eliminating the out of pocket this week, you're still going to need leads, right? Because there's someone you need to talk to educate, to enroll. So if you don't have enough leads, don't ignore that. Usually when I'm talking to our reseller partners, I'll ask, well, how does your sales funnel look? And they'll say, what? And I'll say, well, how many leads are you actively working? The typical person I talk to, they'll name off two people, two cousins and a brother-in-law. And it's like, well, that's not a very good sales funnel, right? So again, I don't have any financial interest in you getting leads from Kyle, but if you're not good, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but if you're not good at generating leads or you just don't have leads, then I certainly encourage you to get with Kyle. If you don't have Kyle's information, what are you going to do? You're going to call Madison. You need to be your reseller first, by the way, which costs nothing. All right. So often we get asked, and to me, it's kind of a silly question, but it's a question, so I guess it's a good one, is, how do you get the funding that you need if you're a reseller? Because you might want money for marketing to buy leads from Kyle, which those are cheap anyway. You might want to put yourself or have staff on payroll. You hear us preach all the time about having at least one company vehicle. Maybe you have a office, personal expenses you need to cover, whatever it is. But of course, you're not required to, but sure, you can participate yourself and buy a Shelf Corp and get the funding. So to me, that's obvious, but we seem to need to state that because for some of you think, oh, well, I'm a reseller, I can't participate. There's no conflict of interest. And in fact, I think your story would be even stronger if you had that success story. And we talked a little bit, let's break that down for a moment. When we set someone up with a Shelf Corp, we're looking at creating what we'll call a funding portfolio. And so normally that would include one or more business credit cards. So business credit cards are not the focus of what we do, but yeah, I think every business should have at least one business credit card. It's typically going to be a 10K to 20K card. It's in your business name, doesn't report on your personal credit. I have one. I think you should have one too. I think clients that are getting a Fundable Shelf Corp should have one, and that's what we've built in. The good thing about business credit cards is it's typically a no documentation needed. So it's not intensive to get approved for. We also believe, and so create a space here of what we think a funding portfolio should include that we build into each Shelf Corp is a line of credit, LOC. Lines of credit typically are no doc as well, so they're easier to get. Now, the problem with lines of credit is I think trying to get more than 150K is difficult. It's possible, but average lines of credit are from 25 to 150,000. So that's on top of the business credit card. So I know we applied for a line of credit, we received it, and they actually send you what seems like a credit card that you can access the funds anywhere that you use a credit card, or you can also do a transfer into your account. All right, what else should be included? A term loan. One of the things that I learned when I worked at the SBA is that when clients are building a funding portfolio, they should match the lending instrument to the use of funds. So let's say that you and I wanted to go buy an office building. Should we buy an office building on credit cards even if we had enough? Typically, no. Now, we can get 0% on business credit cards. You can't beat that interest. But business credit cards aren't meant to buy something really large and then pay it out over a long period of time, because those promotional interest rates will go away and it would be expensive. That's not the intent. Would we go out and buy an office building with a line of credit? Well, theoretically, you could, but again, lines of credit are meant to use when you need it, pay it down, and then that line is available again. So, for larger working capital loans, for real estate loans and such, normally we're going to get a term loan that would have a 10-year repayment term. And we can always get more than one term loan, but term loans are often the largest. Typically, they're 5 million or less, could be more, but this is the larger amount with a longer repayment term. So that's part of the funding portfolio that we want to set up with each Shelf Corp. And then the fourth and final would be the company vehicle. We've bought 3 company vehicles. I recommend you have at least one. You need transportation anyway. Have it tax deductible. If you buy the right type of vehicle, you can do accelerated depreciation under Section 179 of the IRS tax code. So it's like them giving you a check back when you buy the vehicle. It's great. So this is typically our approach. Now, each client can decide what they want, but this is what we want. This is what we would recommend for each participant in the Shelf Corp. And if you want that, you can do that as well. Any questions on that? All right, Jeff has a question that goes back to this point, and he's asking, he says that prospective clients are going to want to know how much they're going to need to finance. Well, sure, but Jeff, as a reseller, you're picking that price. What I see in today's society, and this is maybe good or bad or indifferent, it's not my opinion, it's my observation, is most people judge purchasing decisions by how much is out of pocket. What's it going to cost me now? And what we've said, Jeff, is for this week, we're going to do the trial promotion that you can sell a Fundable Shelf Corp for 0 out of pocket. Based upon what others are telling me, they're going to sell a shitload of these. Frank's going to sell at least 5 a day. Michael's going to sell 4 this week. Sylvia 5 to 6 this week. France 5 this week. Jamel up to 10 this week. So you're right. You don't want to mislead people. We're not saying that the Shelf Corp is free, but human nature is typically asking, what's it going to cost me out of pocket? And you're able to eliminate that. Hopefully that answered your question or addressed your concern, Jeff. But the nice thing is you're picking the pricing, not us. Okay, so we covered that. So our last agenda item for today is quick cash. So quick cash is different. Quick cash is different than the Shelf Corp. Different. We've had trainings on quick cash. So if you've not gone through any of those trainings, you might should. But quick cash is designed to, within 24 hours, get $10,000 to the client. So no, it doesn't include a fundable business. No, it doesn't include an entity, no EIN, no business plan. Pretty much none of these deliverables that come with the Shelf Corp are included in quick cash. Quick cash is just quick cash. So I appreciate, Jamel, you bringing that up. So that is separate, but you're certainly able to use that as a resource. If you're not familiar with it, maybe go back and watch the prior trainings. Now, Jamel's question was specifically, is there a limit of, because each quick cash comes in a $10,000 portfolio. So let's say someone wanted 20,000, they would get 2 portfolios. If they wanted 30,000, what would they do? They get 3 portfolios. So that is fine. So you can get as many as you need. We've covered the poll question as far as resources. If you're not a reseller and you want to become one, didn't cost you a penny, just email us and we'll get it back to you. If you need to speak to someone, give Madison a call. If she misses your call, she's really good about returning them. And then our past trainings are here. And frankly, I don't think it'll frustrate you, but if you called me or Madison or anyone on our team and you start saying, well, tell me about quick cash, the first thing she or I or any of us would say is, well, have you watched the training? Or if you called in and said, hey, tell me about Fundable Shelf Corps, first thing we'd say is, have you watched the training? Part of that is the training is designed to give anyone a comprehensive understanding of the topic. And if we're just talking off the cuff, we're going to just human nature is we're going to give you an abbreviated conversation because there's only so much time and energy we have to repeat the same thing over and over. So the trainings are especially important. But if after you've watched the training you have a question, just let us know and you can call us. So who has questions? Who needs assistance? Because remember, the third item on our agenda is to go make money today. We've come up with rather unexpectedly a really nice incentive. You can go out to the marketplace this week for any contract signed between today, Monday the 13th, and this Friday, which I believe we agreed is the 17th. Those participants, instead of paying the normal $250 out of pocket, they can come in with $0 out of pocket. So the process, and Kim's asking the process. So what will happen is, as a reseller, you will have contacted us. We will have sent you the reseller packet. Let's go ahead and put the process on here, and we'll close with that so everyone knows. So first, become a reseller. If you want to be, right? We don't make any money from it, so I'm not like trying to sell you something and cost you anything. But if you're not a reseller and you want to be a reseller, become a reseller, and that's easy to do. Then you will receive implementation email. So that's going to provide you this flyer. It's going to provide you other marketing materials. It's going to provide you the editable client agreement. Everything you need, combined with maybe if you want to go watch past trainings, you'll be set to go. You'll be live. You'll be open for business. Now, again, if you have questions, you can let us know. But you'll be open for business today, right? Within an hour of becoming a reseller, you should get the email. Now you're open for business. So then you're going to want to edit the client agreement, because this is what we call a private label, white label, however you want to describe it. So you remove our information, put yours on, change pricing the way you want. So then what do? Get client under contract. So then they will sign your agreement. We're eliminating the out-of-pocket cost through this weekly promotion, so you don't have to collect any money from them. And then what are you going to do? You're going to upload client contract into your Dropbox. So we will set up, once you have a client under contract, let us know. You can call Madison or you can email us. We'll set up a Dropbox folder. It's like a cloud-based file folder, and you'll upload that client contract. What will happen then? Then we'll send client the finance application. The finance application is great. It's a one-pager, and we'll copy you on it. So you'll be carbon copy, which means CC, right? So then we'll send the client the finance application. Creates no hard inquiries to get them offers. We went through, was it Friday or Thursday of last week? I forget now, the days blend together. I think it was Friday, an example of the type of offers that clients get. You can go back and see that training if you want. But most clients are going to get multiple cash offers. They can pick the offers they want. They can accept just enough to pay the Shelf Corp. Well, how much is a Shelf Corp? I don't know. You're picking the sales price. But they can often get enough to pay the Shelf Corp plus have working capital in their pocket. So then, once Shelf is paid for, which means you're paid, we're paid, then we implement. So we don't want to make the mistake to think, oh, they sign the contract and then all of a sudden they get all these deliverables. No, they sign the contract, then we get financing, then they pay, and then they get the deliverables, just to be clear. France is asking about geographic availability, yes. So we can do the Shelf Corps anywhere in the world. It's not limited to just the United States. All right. Are there any other questions? Anything that you need to know so you can leave today's training and start making money? All right. Michael's asking for clarification. So if he sells a Shelf Corp for 0 out of pocket, but he accepts a processing fee or an application fee or a down payment, does he keep that? Yep, you keep all of it. So you're not going to send us any money this week through the promotion. So yeah, if you need a little money in your pocket while we're waiting for the client to get finance to pay for the Shelf Corp, absolutely up to you. Don't send us a penny. Whatever you collect is yours. So what else do you need to be able to go make some money? Anything else that anyone needs? So we've got a promotion this week. We eliminate entirely the out-of-pocket cost for enrolling in the Shelf Corp. All right. Well, very good. If there's anything else that you need from us, let us know. You've got our resources here. Definitely keeping up with the trainings or the past trainings is helpful. But the clock is ticking, and it's on you at this point. So let's go implement. Let's go help people, and let's go make some money this week, today especially. Thanks, everyone. See you back tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.